Let's move on over to their division round. Let's just go about like 70 miles east, and let's start evaluating the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so that you can see when Ryan and I create new content. But Ryan, Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, winning record streak is still alive, and it was just a foregone conclusion going into the season. It's like, hey, Mike Tomlin, 15 years winning records. That's great. Yeah. Great record. Good job. Good job. We will always remember this winning streak after it gets broken this year. No, it is not. It is still going.
Yeah.
It is still going. I was skeptical with Kenny Pickett in that draft pick. He proved me wrong. He proved a lot of people wrong. When I'm doing my stats, I didn't even put down Mitch Trubisky because it doesn't even matter because that's Kenny Pickett's job right now. But 2,400 passing yards through 12 starts, 7 touchdowns. He had 230 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns on top of that. 9 picks. We don't have to talk about that. He's a rookie. Actually, did he have one game with 4 picks?
He did.
It was like his first game start. Or something. Yeah.
And so that inflated his numbers a little bit. But I think at the very least, you have a guy that can come in and be your starter for the foreseeable future. To me, I think very similar to the Patriots with Mac Jones. You don't quite know what you have yet, but you know you have a guy that can play football at the NFL level. One of the things that I really like about Kenny Pickett, very competitive, like spirit, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty. We saw that. I think was it against the Bills when he got tackled late by the defensive lineman and he got up and I don't know if he punched him or if he tried to rip his helmet off, but he was
I can't remember. I know what you're talking about though.
But he got up and got in a defensive lineman's face, and I think that's just something, especially with the city of Pittsburgh and like how they like that team to play. I think that is the character of the quarterback that they want. Just this like really feisty, competitive, get after it type of guy.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I know he went to University of Pittsburgh, but he's from Pitt. Like he's born.
I think he is
born and raised like from Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
right?
I think he is.
Yeah. So that only embodies that. That type of personality. But I agree with you as well. And if you look down the line, especially in their skill position players, they've hit on Najee Harris. I remember that was kind of a question mark. And Najee Harris, I think, could be doing better if they had a better offensive line. I think it's one thing that they need to address, especially in the tackle position. Pat Freiermuth is turning into an elite tight end. I would not be surprised to see him, especially going into his junior year into the season, that he just takes off. And then George Pickens, he's going to be an elite receiver in this league.
So I think it was 2018 or 19 when Devontae Parker was 1,000-yard receiver for the Miami Dolphins. He reminds me so much of him. Just the way he's so fluid in and out of his breaks. He sets up DBs so well that they never know what his next step is going to be. And he's a rookie. It is absolutely insane to me that he went at 54 or 52. And it's just like wow, he's a talent. Pickett to Pickens, keep that in your memory. So offensively, they were 26th overall. However, they did start out the season with Mitch Trubisky and have a transition, and they did much better in the second half of the season. Not top 10, but probably average for an NFL offense. And then defensively, they were 10th, and that is I was very surprised to see that number because for a long stretch of the season without TJ Watt, they sucked. They were not any good, and they really only had Alex Highsmith to get after the passer. And when TJ Watt came back, this defense just kicked it into another gear, and that's that's one of the bigger reasons why they went on that 4-game win streak at the end of the season. And so for me, I look at this roster and it's like, okay, you have key foundational pieces with Najee Harris, George Pickens, Kenny Pickett, TJ Watt, Minkah Fitzpatrick. And then I think you need to look in this offseason for role players and younger potential star players to come in. They do have 7 picks in the draft with their first 2 seconds a third, a fourth, and then 2 sevenths. And they're about 1.25 million in cap space right now to go out and add players. They probably will have a couple cap casualties.
Mm-hmm.
And they do have a few free agents, but nothing too major. Larry Ogunjobi, Devin Bush, and Cameron Sutton are their major free agents.
It's when I look at this and going through the research and seeing the free agents, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually attack the linebacking core and then also bolster up maybe the secondary as well. Because between Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, and Alex Highsmith, they had 30.5 sacks between those 3 players. Yeah. So you're right.
TJ Watt played 8 games, 9 games,
something like that, maybe 10. I'm trying to remember. So it's like So you just need positional players on the defensive line just to kind of help rotate who can obviously be effective. Like don't sign me, because I won't do anything for you. But I'm large, but I'm not.
You wouldn't really need to be blocked. No offense, I wouldn't either. So
you can leave a wide open hole with me in it, and the running back's still going to get through me. But with Cameron Sutton on going through free agency, if they want to re-sign him or not, it's not sure. But I would say if they could get better in the linebacking core, because all their especially starting linebackers, rated on the well below average according to PFF, improve that layer and be lethal on all 3 levels of the defense. And that's Pittsburgh. That's Pittsburgh Steelers football right there. So that. Add another weapon maybe on the offense side, but there's a lot of potential with this Pittsburgh Steelers team in 2023.
For me, I look at this roster, and the biggest hole is offensive line. They have no consistently solid offensive linemen, because they have some good offensive linemen. They're just either older or not that great. And to me, I think, especially with Kenny Pickett going into his second year, if you can establish a consistent run game with that offensive line, and then maybe add some wide receiver depth, because you do have George Pickens and Deontay Johnson with Pat Freiermuth, which is a good 3-headed monster. But I think Deontay Johnson's heading into a contract year, as well as
I think he's 27, or he will be 27 at the end of the season.
Maybe I can't remember his contract status, but adding some more depth there, establishing that run game, I think would do a lot for this offense. And I think this defense is already in a good spot, because if TJ Watt can come back and play 17 games next year, this defense is going to be top 10 just because of his presence.
Well, it says what I said, though. It's like between those 3 guys, Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, 30 sacks. You can rush 4, so that if you can get speedy, quick, or just the type of linebackers that you want to fit your system, it can be really tough to score against these guys.
Yeah, the one thing with Cameron Hayward is he's 33. I think he will be 34 by the start of next year. And so I think you have to add some depth there. However, to me, I look at this roster and I think of what they need to do to improve the most for 2023, and it's build this offensive line and maybe add another weapon for Kenny Pickett. With that first pick, I would not be surprised if they went offensive tackle with one of the top 3 offensive tackles, or even Osiris Torrance if he's still on the board. I would love to see Osiris Torrance in this offense. I think he would bring a level of grittiness and just physicality to the run game, because then that would allow Najee Harris just to hit the hole and not have to worry about dancing around defenders, which he hits the hole very well. So sorry, that came out wrong. But yeah, so
from what we've heard, from what we've heard, not personal experience, just from what we've heard. But I'm honestly shocked, because like I would have thought that the Steelers would have been picking in the top 6 or 7 this year. Just like gonna have a good defense, but just struggle to score. Kenny Pickett, lots of questions. But like, it's funny. It's like I remember even like, was Najee Harris draft the first draft that we did, and then the Pat Freiermuth as well, where we're questioning like why, like the first NFL draft. And you know what? Those picks are hitting. Like he's a 1,000-yard rusher this year. Pat Fryermuth was one of the top tight ends. So when they select these guys, like they're building this team. I could see them signing on. Well, I think they still have another 3 years of Najee Harris if they accept his 5th year. And so signing these guys, and so now they're building those foundations.
Yeah,
they can honestly have if barring injuries, obviously, I think have a really good 2023 and vie for the division because they at the end the second half of the team they were a playoff team. They just started off so poorly.
Yeah. Well, that was Mitch Trubisky was under center, and so I think it's a really interesting outlook for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I think that's going to wrap it up for them. They have a good outlook for 2023. They have a lot of abilities to make improvements, and so I think it's an exciting 2023 for Steelers fans.
Yep.